Welcome everybody back to a brand new episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are unedited, unfiltered. We are going raw. I am so happy that we could be coming back to talk to you guys again. We have a hell of a show coming at you guys. My name is Joey.
I'm Eric, and we're your hosts. Welcome to Raw Minds.
Fuck
All
yeah.
right, Joey, look at this, man. What the fuck do you see here, buddy? We're fucking on video.
Fuck. I don't think many people want to see my face, but
Yeah. Fuck, look at this thing, buddy. Movember. I can't. I got the Dirty Sanchez going on right now, man. Mustache rides, fucking after this shit, man. No problem. Let's go.
yeah, buddy. Fuck, man. I'm just, dude. I just get so excited knowing that fucking Wednesday's coming around the corner. This is
All the time.
Oh, buddy, just awesome. Fucking love it. Love it. Yeah,
Fuck
man.
yeah.
It's a fucking. We're gonna. Obviously, we're here, you guys, to share some stories and really put ourselves out there to show you guys that you should it's okay to do the same and to get the help that you need. And we've all been through it, and we all struggle on different levels, man. And life is life, man, and it's not easy, right? So
Yeah.
we thank you guys all again for tuning in. And I also want to just say thank you guys. Like the emails that we're getting, the feedback is just, it's incredible, man. It's touching, and
Yeah.
we really want to thank you, man. It really means a lot. And speaking on the emails, our guest today, he reached out, and he sent us an email, and we were flattered, to chat with him before the show, and it's an honor to have him. He told us a little bit of his backstory, and man, it's a lot of people are listening tonight. You'll definitely be able to relate to what he's gone through, and we want to thank you for coming on. So we're gonna welcome our friend here, Adam. Man, thanks you for being a part of the show, man.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for coming.
Hey
buddy.
guys, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
man.
we're excited to have you, man. We really are. I mean, you told us a little bit in your emails in there, so we'd like to, push that out into the world, and hopefully people can relate. So
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
take her away.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
The floor is yours, Adam.
gonna-
The floor is yours, buddy.
Yeah. So pretty much, man. Just if you can tell us a little bit about, the background story and
Kind of,
what you
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of where you came from. A little bit of yourself, and to why you reached out to us and what you wanted to share. So
Yeah, well, just some of the backstory. Like I was construction worker for a long time. I grew up on the Sunshine Coast, and my wife and I moved over to the city. I don't know, some time ago. I don't know the exact numbers, but I was in trades for about 15 years, and right before the pandemic in 2020, I was injured on a job site that, to put it bluntly, I was lucky to walk away from. And you guys can imagine when you have a lengthy career in one industry and it all gets taken away from you, there's a lot of struggle that comes with that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right? Because all of a sudden, all these, I'm 35 now. At the time, I think I was I 30, 31 or 32. I don't know the exact age, but you have a certain identity that you're trying to live up to through for the first 32 years of life.
Yeah.
And when the rug kind of gets pulled out, it's easy to slump. It's easy to kind of take a victim mindset a little bit and wonder, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
When I think in any opportunity where you go through something, there's a chance to come out the other end stronger than when you came in.
100%, man. 100%.
So, yeah. So that's a little bit. We're just on the journey to be better, or on the journey to grow every day in some way or another, whether it's growing as a businessman, a father, a husband, a friend, seeking growth every day.
And that's all it's about, right? It's about leveling up and trying to just be a better
Mm,
person every single day, right? Tomorrow I'll be even better, right? And that's the goal, and trying to learn and educate yourself. And knowledge, man, knowledge is key, right?
yeah, absolutely. And I think as guys, we could all relate to the almost feeling like if we share our feelings, we are labeled weak.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? But let me tell you, I don't know who's out there. I don't know how many people are listening. I don't know if it's dozens. I'm sure it's thousands, soon to be millions of people listening to the show.
Hell yeah, it is going to.
But
Fuck yeah.
hell yeah, it is. But let me just say that, like, the best thing that we can do when we're feeling in these down lows, you gotta talk your way out of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not someone let's see, because I guess we could all be pretty selective on who we talk to, but man, you got to have that one source.
Yeah.
Even if it's outside of your regular circle, you got to have that one source to just take your burden a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the strongest man on the planet has moments of
I
weakness.
know I do all the time, man, but people don't know that. What can I say, man?
Oh, but
But
100%, man. Like you just, in those moments, like you said, if you have to try to find that source, and I know with a lot of people they find it hard where maybe they don't have a lot of friends or family, but I mean, there's a lot more resources out there if you don't,
Yeah.
and part
100%.
of this, the main reason of our show is to hopefully be one of those resources for people that don't have one.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
100 absolutely, because if I could weigh, because if the network around you isn't, if it's not a sufficient source to unload your burden, then you want to try to bring in enough positivity to kind of start cleaning out your own soul a bit,
Yeah,
right?
man. Yeah. You got to fill
And
that
you
bucket.
could do that. You got to fill that bucket, and
Yeah.
that bucket comes from positive and negative,
Yeah.
because that could come from the music you listen to, the books you read, the TV shows, the movies you
Yeah.
watch, the things you think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you come from the power of positive thinking is no joke.
Yeah. I
A
mean,
million
So
percent.
yeah, man. I mean,
You
like,
cha-
what was that, Joey? Who was that put the check on their um their fridge and it said $1 million? They're gonna make $1 million. Remember we talked about that before? And they put a check.
mm,
Was it Jim Carrey? No, was it?
no, Jim Carrey did that. He
Yeah, Jim
wrote
Carrey,
a
right?
check for like $10 million in a blank check and put it in his wallet, and 5 years later he made $10 million.
Yeah, man.
So that
Positive.
that does work. It definitely does. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said about filling that bucket. I mentioned this on a show previous. Like, I seen this video and it's the same kind of thing. Like if you have a bucket of clear water and you just fill it with garbage, but then you start refilling it with clear water, all that garbage goes away, right? Because now
hundred
you're
percent.
filling it back up with the positives, because when you're in that negative space, and we've all been there, and it's extremely hard to get out of sometimes, once you start adding more positives rather than dwelling on the negatives don't seem as bad anymore, and it starts to fade out, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
What
Yeah, man. And
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Joey.
No,
No,
go
no,
ahead,
no,
buddy.
go.
I was just gonna go ask him a question to previous, but you go ahead first. It's all good, buddy.
Um, and like speaking on that, right? It's all about the mindset, right? You got to train your mind, and it's hard. It's really hard, but you got to train your mind and understand that things happen for reasons, and you got to take a lesson out of this, right? And we spoke about this, I think, in our first episode, grief, about these traumas or whatever it is. Um, there's a lesson behind it, but it's up to you to find that. And you use that lesson, and you got to think of the positive and shit. Like always, you got to think of the with darkness there is light, and with light there's darkness. Like totally, there's yin and yang for everything in this world, right? Positive and negative. But it's about
100%.
you know what I mean. But it's about finding that positive in all this negative, and that's
Well,
what really truly will help you go through all that and come on top.
and that's the thing is they always say too, like when things happen to you, like that's one thing. That's like
Yeah.
10% of it, but the
Yeah.
90% of that is what you do with what's happened. That's your
Mm-hmm.
reaction. That's, do you dwell on that? Do you sit in it for a year and play victim
Yeah.
to something that's
Mm,
happened to you and make excuses? That becomes all on you, not what that person has done or that thing
Yeah.
that's happened. And a lot of things that happen to us, like look at Adam's example, right? Like he almost died at work, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's something that was out of his control, and that's something that almost happened. Thank God that didn't happen, and we're grateful that you're here
Yeah.
and your kids are here,
Yeah.
and that
mm,
your kids are grateful, and your wife, and and
Yeah.
so on. But even in that, that put Adam in a different path of life, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
or anybody that happens to, and things that happen that's out of your control, but it's up to you on what you do with that and how to get out of that and make
Yeah.
the changes and find that light in that negative.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But and most people, well, I'd say majority is once they're in it, like it's very hard for them to come out of it. And I get it because I've been there numerous times. But if you don't start filling that bucket with those positives, you're
Mm-hmm.
just dragging out something that you could have either fixed or got over 5 times quicker by dragging up, because you're not seeing that light, you're not trying, you're just the victim mindset, like Adam was mentioning earlier, right? And that's the problem with people getting into that state of mind, and that's when they pick they pick their own self medications, and they do this, and they feel sorry for themselves because this happened to me 6 years ago. But I mean,
Yeah.
again, that's if you're still in it from 6 years ago, that's on you. That's not on what happened.
mm.
It's
Yeah.
only up to you. You
Exactly.
and you only can make that change.
100%.
Nobody
Y-
else.
yeah, like one example that kind of made a lot of sense to me at the time was I kind of used the analogy of when the whole thing, when the whole injury, when the whole accident happened, it was like the light got turned off on in the room, right? And then you're stuck in this room for say 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to piece yourself back together in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You're piecing it all together, and then someone comes in and turns the light on, and you look in the mirror and you're going, "Who the hell is that guy?"
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is, but that ain't me. And people start to like resent themselves because they haven't accepted this new person that they are, and when they've kind of pieced this whole thing together,
Yeah.
right? So the only way to get through is to be like, you know what, this is the new version of me. This is what I got to work with, and just because it's not who I was doesn't mean I still can't do something great.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, and that for me, I don't know what the guys are like who listen to this, but man, even through the flaws, there's greatness.
Mm-hmm.
You
Definite.
just gotta find you gotta hone in. You gotta hone in on the like lean into those flaws. Man, the biggest struggle will be my biggest strength at the same time.
Yeah. 100%, man.
So I just encourage the guys, man. Like just because this part of your life isn't going great now, as you guys were saying earlier, the light is coming.
Yeah.
You just
Just
got
a
to
matter
put
of
in the
getting
work.
there.
So
Yeah.
And like Eric said, right? You change your mindset, you change your life. It
mm,
all
Yeah.
starts right here. Right
mm-hmm.
here. That's it.
Yeah.
All starts
Buddy,
right here.
make I
Well,
make my fucking bed every morning I get up. I make it because it's a small little goal. And that, like, first thing I get up, man, my bed is made, and that's that goal fucking demolished. I fucking killed it first thing. So you start your day on a good track. You know what I mean? So you've already killed a goal first thing you woke up,
mm,
you know? And you just have these little and you just smash them as you go. Make small little ones. And that helps you push forward and helps you, makes you feel good because you're accomplishing. Even though it's fucking making your bed. I mean, how many times have you said, "Fuck that, I'm not going to make it my bed. I got to leave." You know what I mean, or whatever. Like, no, it's the small little fucking things, man. And if you start accomplishing those little things in your life, eventually you're going to accomplish bigger things and bigger things. I mean, every little goal that was very reachable, I fucking smashed. I killed that shit, you know? because I'm fucking hungry. I had my own business at one time because I wanted to do it. Like I've done a lot of fucking shit, but it's because of the small goals that you train yourself on, and you smash those, and you keep on moving forward. It makes you feel better, And like I said, you start your day fucking winning. It could be fucking pissing out, fucking shit could be happening, and you kill the goal right away. It's all about
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like some of the guys who I listen to who podcast, they're always saying it's like, man, the number one question among people, it's like, how do I build confidence?
yeah,
You build confidence by keeping the promises you make.
yeah, 100%.
One,
Right. So if I
yeah,
1,000,000%, I think you were gonna say, right,
that's
Joey?
right. That's right.
So yeah, as for you, Eric, if you go to bed, you're like, man, I know that tomorrow morning, I know I'm gonna make my bed.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna hit the gym. I know I'm gonna eat a healthy breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get my work done.
Yeah.
If you keep checking off those marks,
Yeah, man.
eventually you'll be like, man, I'm gonna make $1 million this year.
Yeah, definitely.
What gives me any reason to think otherwise? I've proven to myself everything else I'm doing.
Well,
like what's stopping me?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't look at the small things like that as
Mhm.
anything, really,
Mm.
right? Like, because I've had
Yeah.
it where I have 2 kids, right? I get them pretty much half the time. They come over, kids make a mess. You're just like, they're gonna make a mess again in 3 hours. I'll clean it in the morning. Little things, right? But then when I actually clean it, and these are just small little things, just like what we're talking about, but just that, like, now my kitchen's spotless. I feel so much better, right? Just these little tiny things as you go throughout your day that people don't look at it like that. They're little wins, right? Make sure you
Yeah.
go to the gym
Mm.
because your morning starts the night before, right?
Yeah.
So how you go to bed,
100%.
and that saying, like, never go to bed angry, it's true because what you think about is 91% of what you thought about the day before, right? So if you go to bed angry and stuck on what this person did to you and the boss pissed you off, whatever, you're going to wake up angry.
Yeah.
Right. So it's those little things that
100%.
you wake up in the morning and you smash the little things out, just like you're in bed. And I do the same, and those little tiny things, because then that's one less stress when you get home. You're like, well, my kitchen's already clean, man.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly, man.
I already washed
Yeah.
the car, the house
Yep.
is spotless.
Yeah.
Like, just those little things sounds dumb, but it's those little things that push you to start going to the big things because now you're feeling a little bit better about yourself. You didn't feel like going, but you still went to the gym,
Yeah.
all those things. And it just starts to stack those little wins and it goes back to that bucket, right? And all that negative, like when we're down and we've been there in the depression and the heartbreak and you can't get out of bed, you're not eating and all that. But once, like Adam, you were saying, it's you start putting in those little wins and those smaller things turn into bigger things, and you start feeling better about yourself because you went to the gym for a month straight. Now, you know what? I'm feeling like you building that confidence, like you were saying, right? That's the only way.
Yeah.
Is finding purpose is the biggest one. Is finding a purpose and shooting for goals. Like I mentioned this in another episode. Like, start doing things you never thought you would do, or find something that you really wanted to do and take that class and whatever it is, you know what I mean? But most people is they don't do these things is because of fear of what other people are going to think. But you will live in a constant state of depression if you're only living to please everybody else because you're not doing what makes you happy.
Yeah, man.
100%.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
a lot of
I
people
couldn't agree more.
and businesses fail because of people's opinions. Like, well, I really wanted to start this, this bakery, but one person's like, oh, your cakes suck, and then like maybe it does suck, and then they don't start it, but that was their dream, and then a lot of people are like that, right?
Yeah.
So
And that's
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Go ahead. Sorry, man. Go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say it's funny because these opinions of people, like when I think back to how I got into trades in the first place, it was really built on the identity that society gives you passively, regardless if it's directly to you or not.
Yeah.
Because growing up, I was very good at athletics. And what do they say about if you're good at sport? If you're good at sports, you're probably stupid.
Pretty much. Yeah. Jocks are what are they?
big,
Meatheads and all that shit. Yeah.
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 And then it's like, and if you're fat, you better be funny. And guess what? I'm a pretty funny guy. But that that already, when you go through childhood, when you're the most moldable, you go through childhood, high school of being good at sports, you start to kind of dumb down your potential. You're like, man, what could I do?
Hmm.
I've been really good at sports. I gotta find a career that's gonna match my dullness.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
Right?
yeah,
You're like, I'm gonna you
yeah,
don't have the same you don't have the same motivation to shoot for that big
big,
career.
yeah, yeah,
Like, no, wait, there's no way I could do that.
yeah. I feel you,
Because
man.
they society tells you that you're dumb essentially,
Yeah.
which might sound ridiculous, but I think there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of layers in there too.
Well, I mean, like when people like put you down, right? It starts getting into your head too, right? In those cases,
Mm,
and calling you, dumb or stupid, or you can't do this, and that really will affect you because then you start getting into your own mental mind, and it's just playing. Am I? And like, why? And then you start like, say you're working on a car. Guy says you don't know how to do that. And instead of, yeah, fuck you, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Not everybody's got that fucking mentality. Some people like, oh,
mm,
like, yeah, maybe he's right. I can't do it. Start getting all nervous. You're fucking up. Then people like, yeah, I can't do it, and then I fucking give up. And it can really fuck with people. But I mean, at the
100%.
you just, I that's why I don't give a fuck what people think of me. I don't care. You're not coming to my birthday party. I don't give a fuck. I don't got to like. No, I don't care, man. Simple as that. I don't give a shit. The only person that I care about that means like the world to me is my daughter. You know what I mean? And I have to be a
Mm,
good example for her. And that's all that matters to me. I don't care. I mean, like my friends, obviously, I care about them. But I mean, just at the end of the tip of the fucking spike, when it comes down to it, I don't give a fuck about anything else but my daughter. I don't care what people think. You can call me whatever the fuck you want. At the end of the day, like I said, you're not coming to my birthday party. I don't give a shit. And it's about having that mentality. I mean, one of my ex-girlfriends would like have to be into everything that's going on. She's like, oh, that's styles in, she's got to be in that because that's whatever matters. You're like, who gives a fuck, man? I'll walk around in fucking tidy whities and you know what I mean, like, and fucking nothing on the street. I don't give a fuck what people think. Like, who cares, man? It's your life, live it. Why you gotta fucking make everything else about everybody else and then live their life and be a fucking sheep? Fuck that shit.
Well,
That's what it comes
mm,
down to, man.
I think when the people that care like that about other people, that's heavy on their own insecurities, right?
Oh,
Their own
100%.
self doubt, their low self esteem, right?
Yeah.
So when someone says you suck or you're ugly or whatever, then it affects them big time, is because of how they already view themselves.
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah.
going
mm,
back to those little wins and building that confidence is where you get to that point of I don't give a shit. You
Yeah.
I'm you know what I mean? Like he's like whether it's they think you suck at something or you're ugly, like dude, like you're not gonna be attractive to every person on the planet. You're
Yeah.
not gonna be the
mm.
best at better than everybody else. Like it's just but that comes like you said, you gotta build those small wins to build that confidence to be able to not let what other people think about you affect you,
Yeah.
right? and
Yeah.
and and go for what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get there, because then when I self-reflected and went to my own counseling for all my other stuff, I realized I was like that too because of how I thought of myself.
Yeah.
You know
Mm.
what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just a direct reflection of how I looked at myself. And this person is saying that maybe it's true. Maybe my business is stupid. Maybe I shouldn't do that because what is
Yeah.
people going to think? But, you know, people don't also realize is the people, anyone that's doing better than you in life is not going to comment or talk shit about you. So the people that actually comment and cut you down and talk shit about you are the ones that aren't doing anything with themselves. They hate themselves and they're
Yep.
reflecting that on you because of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which then that
Yeah.
brings these some of these people down to their level because they're starting to believe these people. Like
Yeah.
maybe I'm not good enough, right?
Yeah.
Because these people are just hating their own life and fucking not doing anything with themselves.
Fucking gaslighting, man.
100%.
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's fucking gaslighting. But
Mm.
I think I would like to know a little bit more though, Adam, of a little bit on your story if you want to touch a little bit more, like what you when you after you hurt yourself there, you know, and you're going through all your stuff, what was like the feelings that you were going through? Like what was like the emotions and the feelings, if you can touch a little bit on
It
that.
was it was gnarly, man. Like honestly, I thought my biggest problem was going to be like, oh man, my head hurts or my back is ruined now.
Mhm.
I thought that was going to be the biggest obstacle to get around,
Mhm.
but it was all the mental.
Yeah.
Because again, every day it was like you're waking up, you're like, man, what are you, almost the first thing you think of, you're like, man, what have I lost out on?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've lost out on a career, my hobbies. I feel like, because from the head injury that came with like a whole personality shift in itself.
Crazy.
And then there was a guilt that came because I strongly felt like I'm like, man, my wife's in a marriage to a guy she didn't agree to marry.
Yeah.
This person is not the same person. The face is there, sure.
Yeah.
The beard wasn't as long at the
Yeah.
time, but I so there was a lot of resentment towards myself,
Yeah.
and I
Did you feel bad?
with the
Like, did you feel bad? Like, or like, did you feel like maybe she was like almost like she should leave you? You mean like that or like?
I was waiting for it.
Oh,
I
okay,
was waiting for it.
really,
I'm just like, man, like I was almost paranoid about it.
really, and then just driving, and that's a mental thing in yourself, man. Your head is just fucking going and going and going. Like, you know, when's it gonna happen, or is it now? You know, you'll just drive yourself fucking crazy.
Yeah, and then through driving through that, it's like you almost start to self sabotage along the
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah. Well, I
right?
mean,
Even without realizing it.
yeah. Well, I mean, Joe, that's what Joey was
But
speaking on. The what was it? The last no, 2 episodes ago, I think about self sabotage, man. Like, you know, that's what
I
happens.
self sabotage, man. I did it, especially in relationships. I did it for years, but you don't realize you're doing it because you're so messed up in the head, running on autopilot. You know, and I would just for me, I would shut down like and push away. That's what I
Yeah.
used to do, but I didn't. And in my mind, even with anyone that I cared about, like in my mind, this is my problem. This is not your problem. It's not fair for you to deal with this problem. I'm a man. I got to figure this out on my own in my head. So I would
Mhm.
push away and shut down, but not realizing I was actually doing that because I didn't want that relationship to end. I didn't
Yeah.
want them to go, but then, you feel like less of a man because now
Mhm.
you can't, in your mind, how am I going to provide for my wife and my kids?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
am my wife's gonna my wife or my girlfriend is gonna judge me now, or they're gonna not respect me, or think that I'm a loser, and they're gonna leave me. And now you're just starting to shut down, slowly shutting down and pushing away because of your own insecurities and your own thoughts of feeling with, and that's where it comes with the men that can't, that have hard time opening up because we got to be men.
Mhm.
But when I look back at, in any of the relationships, girlfriends or not, if I would have just said, hey, like, fuck, man, I'm fucked up right now. I'm bothered. This is what's really, I'm hurting. Maybe one of them would have been like, I got you. But I didn't do that.
mm,
And a lot of people don't. And that's what ends the relationships or friendships because I couldn't just say, hey, because I was so worried that you're going to judge me because now I feel like a failure. I don't feel like a man. And their on their end, it's wow, he doesn't give me attention anymore. He's not hanging out as much. I don't see him as much. He's one word answers on the phone. He obviously doesn't care about me anymore, so I'm out. But it was never the case.
mm.
And that, you know what I mean? And so that was the self sabotage, right? And then I ended up hurting myself even more when they're like, no, I'm done, or now I'm not friends with you anymore, and then I'm heartbroken or hurt because I did that to myself and made myself even worse, and now I'm fucked up, like way more, and then I just end up doing this to myself on repeat, on you know what I mean. So
Mm.
it's not easy, man. So I get it, man, Adam. Like, being in that state of mind, because I can relate to your situation. I'll make my story short, but 8 years ago, I was working and I fell off a ladder and I couldn't walk, and I ended up messing my back up really bad, and I had to go to 6 hours a day of physios and therapies. And at that time, not only was I not able to work, I lost my career overnight. They're like, you can't do this anymore, just like that. And I just found out I was having my second kid and my daughter, and now I'm not working. They took my union job away, my stability away. I'm at home. I can't go to the gym. I can't do anything but physio and chiropractors and feel sorry for myself. And I was in that dark room for a good year and a half. So I
Mm.
completely understand. Like, how am I going to take it? I already have a son now. I got one coming. How am I going to take
Mm-hmm.
care of this kid? I don't know what my life looks like now. I have no clue. So I sat in a huge state of depression for almost a year and a half, where it was at the point for me where I went to WCB and I did not leave their office with my dad because I reached out numerous times, like, I need to talk to somebody. I knew that I was, I gained excessive amount of weight. I was depressed, and I went in there begging them, I need to see a counselor. Help me, please. Because I was
Mm-hmm.
this far away from just letting go of the steering wheel of my car, because I just felt like I wasn't a man anymore. Because I always
Mm.
worked hard. I always, I still do. But at that moment and that time, knowing that I got to take care of another child, and I just felt helpless.
Yeah, it'll tear you right up, man.
I was destroyed. I gained what,
Mm.
70 something pounds in a year, and to add, so now you're really feeling shitty about yourself. So I understand it, man. But going back to that light in the darkness, if it wasn't for that, then, because you don't see it when you're in it, nobody does.
No.
Like, even
Mm.
when you're in a heartbreak, I'll never find someone like that again. Yeah, you will. And then if you level up in your life and stack those wins, you'll find someone even better. But when
Yeah.
you're
Hundred
but when
percent.
you're in
Yeah.
that darkness, you don't see it. But because for me, if it wasn't for that, my life wouldn't have went this way, and it would stayed that way. And I guarantee you, when I look back, my life wouldn't be as good as it is now as if I stayed in the original path. You know what I mean? So I just
Absolutely.
went complete, like, complete other way, and it took some time, obviously, especially when it comes from injury, or if you overcoming a serious illness or sickness and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, because it's all hand in hand. When you have to make life changes like that, right? And you're forced to. It's not because you chose to. Like, it's when you're forced to. It's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, it's like sudden,
Yeah,
man.
and and I think that was the biggest issue for me was I'm like, man, I didn't choose this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this was not just a poor decision. I'm like, this was someone making the decision for me, and I'm like, in no area of my life do I like to feel my hand is forced.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Right, so I had an even harder time accepting it, because I'm like, not only does your hand get put out there, but it gets nailed to the table essentially too.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. How did
So
you like what drove you to like your new business, your new like what how
Where,
did you
where,
get
well,
there?
yeah,
so
like, what did you
the
do to get out
whole
of that dark room? What was your
Yeah.
small wins and your
Yeah.
one
changes?
of I would I was out with a friend one night. We were doing like mini putt,
Yeah.
right? Because it was the only thing I really could do. So I would always ask him. I'd be like, "Hey man, like, should we?" I'm like, "Let's go grab some beers. Let's go grab some beers."
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, okay, fine. He's I can't go out, but come to my place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I ended up going to his house, and he just asked me, he's like, so how are you? And I find, and in that moment, just for whatever reason, I'm like, I'm going to give him something. Cause you're always
Yeah.
stoked. Like, yep, I'm good.
I'm okay.
I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good.
Mhm.
Where you're just slowly rotting from within.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to give him a little something. So I was just like, man, I'm like, you know what? I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And just through every little bit that I gave him, a little bit of that weight came off.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of that weight came off. And then eventually I kind of like spewed everything.
Crazy.
And you start to feel, I don't know, if like it feels really good to share that with someone who's willing to take it from you.
Yeah. And
right. And then through that, and through after that, that was when the opportunity for the Shadow and Light project that I did on Instagram.
Yeah, which was awesome, by the way.
He reached out. Yeah. He's like, hey, here's what we're doing, man. You want to do a quick little write-up? Jay's great. He's going to take some awesome pictures.
Yeah.
And I went to Jay's apartment. He took some pretty sweet black and white
Hell
photos.
Yeah, man. They were actually really good, bro.
Yeah,
man.
Man, you should have seen the ones we didn't post. He probably sent me like 20 different pictures.
Oh, really?
He's like, hey, do a little article. He's like, keep it to like this page, which even that itself was really putting yourself out there. Because now I'm not just sharing this with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I'm sharing this with Jay's entire audience.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got this amazing project going. I actually recommend, if you guys are struggling, man, go check out that page too.
Plug it, Bo.
Because I think there's a wicked collab that could be going on here.
Yeah.
And then just through that project, I felt a little better because now I don't have to share the story with everybody directly. They're like, hey man, I read what's going on. I'm proud of you, bro.
That's awesome.
Man, thank you so much. And then eventually, like, you look back and you're like, man, with all the growth and positivity that's coming my way now, I'm so grateful to have gone through it all.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've leveled up in ways that I wouldn't have leveled up if I'd stayed in that old life.
And you learn new things too, definitely, right? Your brain's getting more fucking shit coming in now, right? Because you're learning a new skill or other things too, right? Because the person, like you said, the person that you were is no longer, and you have to learn these new things. So not only do you know the old things that you know, but now you're gaining new skills and learning new things too on top of that. So in a sense, as sad as it is, it's kind of a blessing that you like. That's your light, right? You're learning new things. And that's one thing that you can take too.
And I think if I had stayed in that career, I think I would have been, as I call it, Adam 1.0. I would have stayed 1.0 forever.
Yeah, man.
Right. But once you actually know how to level up even a little bit, it's like you can evolve into 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's always about growth, man.
Yeah, and I don't think, like I was saying, I don't think it just applies to us as in a business sense or a career sense, but like I was a strong Christian before it, and then right after, I think my faith broke. My faith broke apart along with everything else.
Yeah.
And my wife kept me in tune, and she finally came up after I'd done the shadows and light and everything, and I was more comfortable sharing. I was more comfortable sharing what's going on. She's like, hey, there's this men's group, and she's like, I don't know what, but you need to go to this thing.
Cool. Cool,
and then not only you improve the skill of sharing the story. Okay, now let's heal what's there.
Yeah.
Get to the core.
And that was a whole nother journey on its own.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's like the sequel, right?
Right? Almost.
Yeah, man.
Almost.
That's
so crazy. Yeah, like to the guys listening, man, find a source and just whatever's going on in your heart and your soul, just share it.
Yeah.
Just share it. Whether that's with a best friend, whether it's with a family member, whether it's with God, whatever you use, just lay it down.
And that's what we're doing on this show, right? And that's what we're trying to support and break that fucking
Mm.
stigma. Don't be a bitch and fucking share your shit, man. Right, Joey?
In a nutshell, yes.
Plus, and I think a lot of people that struggle to share is one is denial. A lot of people don't want to
Yeah.
admit that they have problems, but I tell you, man, if
Yeah.
you get a lot of people like, oh, I don't need counseling. Like, yeah, you do, because
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
everyone's got fucking
Yeah.
problems. Everybody's got
Yeah.
problems,
Yeah.
and I believe that counseling should be a part of the medical, and that would change a lot of the drug problem. I believe, because people
Mhm.
have more access
If
to the counseling, because a lot of people self medicate when they're in that, right,
Mhm.
and end up going the wrong way with the drugs and the drinking and then this and that. But if they have a little bit more access, then I believe personally that that would decline, because now you're giving people options to be like, no, because a lot of people can't afford $200 an hour to talk to somebody if they have
Yeah.
nobody else.
Man. And it's
You know what
fucking
I mean?
expensive,
yeah,
man. You know?
Oh,
yeah, if like my pride and my ego was I was the frontline person who thought that like mental health counselors, therapists, any of those people were shams.
Mhm. Mhm.
Let me tell you, until I needed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until I needed it. Now
Yeah.
those any worker in those fields, they are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
dude,
Definitely.
counseling for me, I did 6 months of counseling the beginning of last year, because I dealt with a lot of stuff, clearly, because that's why we're doing this. But
Mm.
when you also find that source and able to share and talk about things, like for me, I remember when I was in counseling and I decided, like, this is enough, I need to change, I'll talk to someone, let's try it out. All these things that's happened to you in your past, and you have the same story, like stories in your head of why this happened, that person did this, and that's why it ended, and this and this and this. But when you talk to someone outside, like a counselor, you start to get new perspectives on these things that you've gone through. Like when I sat
Mhm.
there and I said, this happened to me when I was 6 years old, and this happened to me in this relationship, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, but they did this, and then after hearing it, this person looked at me like, no, they didn't do that. You did that, and this is
Mhm.
why. That was you. You did this, that, and you're like, holy shit. So the whole time in my head, it's you hold on to these things, and you're not fixing the core problems, because you're telling yourself either they did it, or it's easy to blame other people, right? Because you're not taking accountability for the things that you did, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, your
Mm.
relationships that failed. Yeah, well, she did this and she did that. Like, no. And then when I look back and I learned from, the self sabotaging to the things I did in the past, whatever it was, is like, and when you come to a point of being more clear and looking back, you're like, man, no, that was me. Like,
Yeah.
and that's how you fix to
Yeah.
stack those wins and to level up, and is because you have to fix the core problem. And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't
Mm.
realize that because of denial, and they don't want to admit, and they're scared, especially as men,
Yeah.
right? Just like when you
Well, and
went
that's what
through
we're
but
learning, man.
yeah, like, when you're in that state or in that dark room because of your injury, but that wasn't your fault, but in your
Yeah.
mind, I'm no longer a provider, my wife's not going to love me anymore, my how do I take care of my kids, because you're going through this in your head, right? And I was the same way with my injury. I'm having a kid, like, how the fuck do I do this? Like, I'm not
Yeah.
working, I feel like a loser, even
Yeah.
though I knew it wasn't my fault. That's
Mm.
still what we sit in. But and as men, it's like, well, I have to be a man, and I'll figure this out. And but man, like, we bury way too much, and that's why the suicide rate is 4 times higher, because we scared to be vulnerable and to talk about these things.
Well,
But
that's what we were taught,
Yeah.
man. You know?
and like I
That's
said, the
mm,
counseling, fuck, dude, game changer. I look forward
mhm.
every week for fucking 6 months to go see the counselor every week. And when I was struggling, I'm like, I can't wait till next Monday, because every time I
Mm.
walked out of there, like Adam said, I started talking about a little bit of this, and then I got a new perspective on that situation that made me feel a
Mhm.
little bit better,
Yeah.
right? And then I'm like, holy, like now I feel a little bit better because I'm starting to realize, no, I'm holding resentment towards somebody or something that happened when really it was me. I
Yeah.
was the fucking problem. So now I'm feeling better because now I'm not thinking about it as much anymore because I'm starting to fix, realizing and taking accountability.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
You guys, you ever hear the story of the farmer with the horse wanders into his kennel or whatnot?
No, no. Please tell
There
us.
was a Yeah, so there was a story. It's a I don't know. It's a story. I don't know what kind of story. I don't know what you would call it, but the theory is it's like a farmer had a farm, and this wild horse stumbles into his stable. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stables. Yeah.
So he closes the thing up, and everyone goes, "Man, you are the luckiest man on the planet. This horse just wandered its way into the stable." And he goes, "You know what? I am pretty lucky, aren't I?" This same horse ends up like the son tries to ride this horse, and the thing bucks him off and breaks this kid's leg.
Mm-hmm.
Now the horse is the worst thing that could have happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, man, this horse is it's a sign of bad luck. This is the worst thing ever. They say 2 days later, the military starts coming through town recruiting any individual who's fit to fight.
Oh.
They get to the guy's son. Guess what? Son has a broken leg. Okay, no, we're not taking him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the case of like through a case of bad luck, through a really horrible scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm grateful to have gone through it because I'm grateful my son broke his leg because now he's home.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Right. So
that's what this is about, man. Like honestly, this is what pushed me to do it. Is my fiance passed away, went through something
hmm
horrible, and then me and Joey were just sitting outside my house on the patio, and I'm like, "Fuck, I want to do a podcast, man." And Joey's like, "Yeah, like I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I've been thinking about it hard." I'm like, "Fuck, let's fucking do it, man." That's how
oh
it started.
well, yeah, for me, like I already had screenshots of how much all the equipment costs, and it was already in my phone. And when he mentioned it, I'm like, look, I already looked it up. Here, this is what we
Yeah,
need, right? So,
fucking meant to be, man. He's my fucking twin flame.
love it.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
no, it's
Love it.
it's to for me, anyways. For me, especially, I should say, is and Eric, because we've all. That's why again, why we're doing this. We've been through so
Hmm.
much in our lives. Everyone's been through shit, but
Yeah.
and in those moments of me when I was in that hole, like I almost took my own life twice in my life. And even back
Mm.
in those moments of deep depression, like, and when you feel alone and maybe at that time you didn't have anybody, and to be able to come out of that and to find that light finally, like it took me, I'm 41, it took me 40 and a half years to come out of that because I struggled and dealt with, and this is not a victim mentality, but it was back to back to back to back things that were happening to me since I was 6 years
Yeah.
old. And when I started going to the counseling, I realized I was on autopilot for 15 years. And even
Hmm.
my mother said
Mm.
that. She's like, you haven't been the same since you were six, So, in that, and to come out of that, for me, my purpose is to help anybody that's listening right now
Hmm.
to be an example that there is that light.
Yeah.
It will get better. It is temporary as long as you put
Yeah.
in that work. But
Yeah.
you have to put in that work. And it's not
Definitely.
easy, but look at it like this is it's a lot harder doing nothing and staying in that for years than working extra hard to get out of that and only lasting 6 months.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 But people don't see that. They don't care, or then that's when a lot of people choose the self medications, the drugs, the alcohol, and the wrong path. Now you're making, not only is your whatever it is that you're dealing with that's hard, you've just added to that. You're not making it better. It's a temporary fix daily for like three
Yeah.
hours.
Band-aid.
Like I remember even being heartbroken. You go drinking, yeah, I'm fine, and then the next morning you wake up, you're by yourself, you're hungover,
Yeah.
and your emotions are fucking even 100 times worse.
No doubt.
So it
Yeah.
really
Mm.
fixed
Yeah.
these problems, and people use as an excuse. Oh well, they
Mhm.
did this to me, and that's why I'm drinking. Like that's just excuses.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, one of the mentors who I've been working with over the last few years, he always says, he's like, man, if you try to run from your problems just end up following you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? He's like, and if you can't leave, he's like, and he even uses like leveling up as an example. He's like, if you level up thinking that you're gonna out earn or out level your problems, he's like, when you move up, he's like, it's still you.
Yeah.
Like it's still the same
Yeah,
you.
they go with.
If I go if I think the grass is greener on the other side and I go over there, guess what? It's still me with all the problems. I'm just
Mhm.
gonna make all the grass brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
It's true, man. That shit's gonna follow you unless you deal with it. And like I've said before, and I'll
Mhm.
fucking say it again, when shit happens, I run towards that shit. Now, I've learned to run towards it, and let's solve that shit. And why stress over the things that you have no control over? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
just find the solution. There is no problems, there's only solutions, and that's how you have to really live your life. There's no problems, there's only fucking solutions. You got to just
Mhm.
find the light, like I said, and you got to run towards that shit and find what it is that it's going to teach you and find that lesson, because you're going to fucking level up. But you need to fucking really see that. Open your eyes. It's right in front of you. Whatever that is, it's usually right in front of you. You just got to really open your eyes. And it's hard. I get it, because you're clouded. Shit's happening. You're fucking like everything's just coming at you at once, and it's clouded. But you need to step back, and take a second and fucking look at the bigger picture. And that's a big problem. Like, people don't do that. They just jump to conclusions, or just, go full bore of whatever's happening, when you should really actually take a breath, step back, figure out, okay, well, I have no control of this. So now I got to see how my next option is to grow, and figure out what I can do to overcome this problem.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to perspective again, right? Because if
Hmm.
you go into something looking, well, what's the problem? What's the problem with me? What's the problem with me? Guess what you're going to find? You're going to find all those
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
You come, man. What's great about me? What is great about me? What separates me from other people? What makes me unique or special? As a lot of people like to use these days.
Hmm.
But that's when you start thinking, finding all those unique features and all those unique qualities about
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And a lot of the times though, like, you find these new qualities, you're trying to level up, and then you're making new friends, You don't want, like,
Mm.
because you want to grow, right? And these new people, that's they're growing, and you want to be around that. But yet you're uncomfortable, because you're used to the old ways, because these people are doing other things that you're not used to, so you're stuck, and you're like, you don't really feel it, you're not really fitting in, but that's because you're just starting to, you're just putting your foot, for say, you're just dipping your toes in the water. You know what I mean? You're not fully
Mhm.
immersed in that shit yet, so it's
Mm.
like a new adventure, but you're not really sure, you don't really know. And a lot of people, like I said before, they'll jump back into their old life, because they're scared to keep on going forward, into that new adventure, because they feel uncomfortable, because it's new and uncomfortable. Like, if it's uncomfortable most of the times in a new situation,
Then
you want to be uncomfortable, because you want to,
you're
that's when
well.
you're
Then you know you're
Mm.
doing something right, right? Because you're never gonna grow unless you step out of that bubble. And to
100%.
be uncomfortable, you have to be
Yeah.
comfortable being uncomfortable in order to grow. And
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
way I personally look at life, like if you fast forward 1 year today and nothing's changed in your life, and you're the exact same, doing the same things. You haven't grown in learning something new. Your money's the same. Not you've wasted a whole year of your life.
Yeah.
That's how I look at
Yeah.
it now. I didn't look at it like that before,
Mm.
but I do now because every day you need to try to be better than you were the day before,
Yeah, man.
right?
And you know what?
And
The most fucking important thing in this world, and you need to fucking understand this. The number one most important thing in this world is fucking time. You will never get that shit back. Never. You know? So waste your fucking time properly. That's
Absolutely.
and a lot of people take that shit for granted, man.
Yeah,
But
and then
it
they
is.
just and just like they live comfortable, and they waste so much time. They
Yeah.
10 hours a week on Netflix. Like, you could be doing
Yeah.
things to benefit yourself and grow as a person, right? But
What
a
you're doing.
majority of these people live in the comfortable victim mentality. Poor me. I'll never get that house. I always wanted that car, but I'll never get it because I only make this much. Like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You just got to work at it. But people don't choose to
Yeah.
put in the work. But then they
Yeah.
complain about their
Mm.
life. Like, I
Yeah.
just I can't be around people like that personally. Like, just shut up. Like, you're gonna sit there and complain about things that you can change and don't. Just you're not a part of my life. I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, like one of the things that I said when it was like I take this approach of being challenges are opportunities for us to prove to ourselves and others on why we deserve the life we dream of.
100%. Yes.
Right. And if I'm constantly running away from the challenges,
Yeah.
it's like a kickboxer who doesn't know how to throw a kick. He's too afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. Then he would be a boxer.
Or a boxer,
Yeah.
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 But no, I
Then a
get you.
boxer's afraid of the bag too.
Yeah, man. No, I get you, man. I get you.
Mm.
It's about pushing those boundaries. You have to push those boundaries. Like when I started my company, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, man. Like how I started my company. This like it was a crazy story. I'm very hungry, right? And like whatever I want to do. My why is my daughter. There is no room for failure. I will not fail. I'm her hero, and that's who I'm going to be. And so I'm hungry. So I was a labor for like fucking I don't know, maybe 3-4 months when I first started. Then all of a sudden, now I'm a carpenter's helper. It was like another maybe 4 months, carpenter's helper. Then the boss is like, "Hey, we're sending you to a job. You know how to build a wall, right?" I'm like, kind of. I've kind of do." He's like, "Okay, we're sending you to a job. You're a carpenter now." I'm like, okay. So me and my buddy went there. We built this. What is it? Fucking ridiculous. It was like 8 inches wide by 16 inches tall. Like it was a box. I'm telling you, man, you could have landed a fucking helicopter on this thing. We fucking overbuilt this thing. Like, I'm telling you, bro, you could run it over with a fucking tank and it would still be standing. You know what I mean? Like, it was fucking. The foreman comes up. He's like, holy fuck, that's one fucking, like strong wall. Not like, it's only 8 by fucking 16 inches, man. I had to brace every fucking, like 8 inches. Like, I swear to God, man, like, this thing was built tough. But like after that, and then like I learned a little bit, and not even about a year. I would say a year into the industry, I was already a business owner and owned my own company. You know,
Mm.
and it's all about that mindset. I had that mindset. The drive, the want, and you need to apply that not only in work, but in everything you do in life. Even if it's fucking sitting down and watching TV, have the mindset of like I'm, a wicked mindset, man. Like fucking make your fucking area fucking wicked while you're sitting down or something. You know what I mean? Just have this fucking winning mindset, and that's what
Mm.
you gotta make yourself train yourself. Sorry, and it takes some time, man. But I mean, you can do it. You know, Joey's at that level. I can see you. You're there, man. You went through all this. You're killing it from what you've told us, like even off air. And then me, man. Like what we've been through, but we have that killer mindset. We want to push. We want to help people. We want to just fucking spread the love and change the stigmata on this fucking men's mental health shit. And it's all about leveling
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And one of the, like, a big factor to what helped me really start to take things a little more seriously with life and everything is I heard somebody, one of my mentors, he said, at the end of the day, you got to be your own brand
Yeah.
in business, in life, where you say you got to be your own brand. And when you actually think about it, I'm like, man, what does it actually mean to be your own brand?
Hmm.
I'm like, that factors into everything. I'm like, your brand is more than just the logo you wear on your shirt,
Yeah.
right? It's like, but what's my, you know, man, what is my brand as a parent? What is my brand as a spouse? What is my brand as a son? What is my you start when you start to really factor in and realize that, like, man, you are always representing,
Yeah.
like, your brand is really a reflection of what's on your soul.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what I believe. And it's like, man, you always want to be, I don't know, you don't want to make your company, if you're your own company, you don't want to make your company look bad.
100%. That's why I always say I'm the nicest asshole you'll ever meet. That's my brand, man.
Yeah.
True story, man. But yeah, no,
but
definitely.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, man, that's fuck, man. I think we're coming to a close here, but Adam, man, like fuck, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. You
Definitely.
know, we're so grateful that you reached out, man, and you know, you guys listening out there, man, like you hit us up anytime. Like we are your source that Adam was talking about.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to
Yeah.
email us, you know, rawmindspodcast@gmail.com. You know, me and Eric, fuck, man, we'll answer questions or pick up a phone at 3 o'clock in the morning for you, man. You know, that's what we're here
Mhm.
for, right? So again, Adam, man, like it was a pleasure, man, and we would really love to, you know, have you back on the show soon. You know, so
Definitely, man. You're more than welcome to come anytime, brother.
You call me anytime and I'm there.
Awesome.
Like, so when I read the thing on Facebook where I was like, I'm like, this sounds, I'm like, I've done something similar with shadows and light. I'm like, this is something I could get behind 100%.
Fuck yeah.
I wasn't BSing. I'm like, I strongly, I believe in the cause. I believe in the mission. I believe you guys are going to help a lot of other men out there.
Thank you, man.
yeah, well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
We really appreciate that, and if maybe if you want to give a quick shout, like on how we can all find listening to that Shadows of the Light, and we can all check that out.
Yeah, it's on Instagram, Shadows and Light. It's a, like I said, it's a really cool campaign. You got a bunch of guys on there sharing their stories, the rough times, with a really unique take on some professionally done photos of these guys, and
Yeah.
it's really cool, and it was a blessing to be a part of.
Yeah, you
That's on
guys.
Instagram, right?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Oh,
Is
I'll
it
check that out for
shadows like
sure.
So
one word, or is it like how is it?
shadows and light.
Shadows and light. And light.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, if you guys listen out there, man, check that out. What Abden was saying, I'm gonna check that out myself. That
Yeah.
sounds like something I can really get into.
Shadows and Light Project.
Okay.
Shadows
And that's
and
one
Light
word.
Project.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
all one word. Yeah, check it out, guys. It's awesome. It's really good.
All right. Well, you know, Adam, again, thank you very much, man. We'll definitely keep in touch, buddy. And any other projects like this come
Love
up,
it.
please let us know. Or if there's anything that we can be involved in or even help with you and your friends, man, we gladly like to, you know, be a part of that. So
Sounds good,
keep
guys.
us in mind.
I appreciate you letting me on.
Yeah, thanks again, man. It was awesome having you, Adam.
No worries,
You
guys.
take
Yeah,
care of
thank you,
yourself, buddy.
Adam. Take it easy, man. We really appreciate you. So on that note, all you motherfuckers out there, you guys have a wonderful night, and thank you for tuning in. And yeah, be good or be good at it. See you guys later. Bye.